What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Got a little bit of a new setup today. We'll see how it goes depending on if I continue doing this for the videos. But coming off of a 7-0 sweep on our free pick. So as you guys can see up on the screen, we had Brian Wu K's cashed, Brian Bello K pitching outs cashed. We had Sonny Gray 5.5 Ks that cashed. Aaron Judge got his hits, runs, RBIs. We swept every single money line last night for free. I gave you guys Yankees, Red Sox, and then Braves over 8.5 point total, or 8.5 run total, I mean. We also took the Blue Jays money line, which was sweaty, but it cashed, and we ended up cashing these two slips for you guys, which I gave away for free on YouTube yesterday. That being said, guys, we do need to pick us a winner for free VIP from yesterday. So up on the screen, you can see our comment shark pulled up. I'm going to pick one winner from yesterday's comments. If this video gets 200 likes, I'm going to pick another comment down below to win a free month. So make sure you guys do smash the like button, drop a comment. Let's go ahead and pick our winner for free VIP yesterday. And there's no way in heck it picked in my pinned comment. So I'm the winner of free VIP, which means I'm going to pick two people to win because I think that's kind of cool. We'll do that. So two people are going to win. First one's going to be for Branch Moo, who said, love the videos. So Branch Moo 123, send me a message on Discord. I will get you added for that free month. And then for our second winner, we're going with Elliot Santiago, who said, I'm hoping for a better day today. Let's go. Well, Elliot, I hope you tailed the free picks yesterday, man. Complete sweep. If you didn't, then maybe you should tell today because I think we're going to have a good day today. We got college football again. But Elliot Santiago, send me a message on Discord, and I'll get you guys added for that free month. But that being said, guys, like I just said, we have college football today, a 6-game slate. Taking a look at this slate, you can see we got Broncos, the Boise State Broncos versus USF. So we got South Florida playing the Broncos at home tonight. We got the Ohio Bobcats versus the Scarlet Knights, Rutgers. We got some other games. I'm going to just go over the games that you can play player props on. So we're going to take a look at those. We do have East Carolina Pirates versus NC State. We got the Buffalo Bulls versus the Minnesota Golden Gophers. We got Miami of Ohio versus Wisconsin. And then we got the Nebraska versus the Cincinnati Bearcats. So those are going to be the 6 games I go over. We'll go over an NBA game, or MLB game, I mean. I wish NBA, but an MLB game. And then we're going to go over some player props for some of these games that I really, really like. So let me know what you guys think of the new format. I like it. Hopefully it does end up doing well for us. But anyways, jumping into the first game of the day that we had the Boise State Broncos taking on the South Florida Bulls at home. So this is one of those games, guys, where like you have to look at what these teams lost, especially for college football, and you got to look at. You kind of got to project what you think a team's going to do this year. So Boise State ranked 25, man, a top 25 team. Do I think they're going to stay ranked? I personally don't. They were 12-2 last season, 7-0 in conference. South Florida was 7-6 last season, 4-4 in conference. I just don't see Boise State being the team they had last year after losing Ashton Jeanty, which a lot of people know. That being said, they do have a returning quarterback, Maddox Madsen. Maddox Madsen threw for over 3,000 passing yards last season. So even though they lost Ashton Jeanty, that does not mean that they're not going to be a decent team this year. I just don't think they don't have that NFL running back anymore. They do have some transfers coming in. We'll talk about in just a second. But let's look at the money line on this. Boise State is minus 200 favorites. UCF plus 192 at home. Boise State does have a minus 5.5 point spread. They're minus 106 to cover the spread. Then the game total for this game is 62.5. So a very, very high scoring game according to the books. Boise State coming into South Florida had a tough loss against Penn State in the college football playoffs last season. This game has potential to be a shootout. I like this game, a fast-paced offense led by Byron Brown. It's a very talented Brown is back after missing 8 games in 2024. So this is going to be a difficult test for the number 25 ranked Boise State to start the season, in my opinion. They lost their Heisman candidate, Ashton Jeanty. Obviously, we already talked about that, to the NFL. Boise's going to depend more on their 3,000-yard passer, Maddox Madsen. But I think Boise State's still going to be too much for this Bulls offense in the trenches. I think they're going to get wore down. The second half, Boise State probably takes over. Boise State returned 5 offensive linemen from last year that started at least 6 games. So they have a majority of their starting O-line. And They also have 14 starters overall from the 2024 season. So they got a transfer running back in Sherrod. He transferred with almost 1,000 yards last season for Fresno State. He actually, I think, returned a punt for a touchdown versus Boise State. So this Sherrod guy, man, he's going to be a good back. I think he has a lot of potential for this with this Boise State team. Do I think he's Ashton Jeanty? No, I do not. I think they're going to have to rely more on their passing game than they're going to on their running game, like compared to last season where Ashton Jeanty had 367 rush attempts. I don't think that Sherrod is going to be that running back this season, but I do think he's going to be a good pickup for this team, and I do think they're going to have a decent season, maybe not quite as good as last year. So he's going to share starting duties with Sire Gaines. Two very capable backs. They have a decent running core still. The South Florida team was 119th in the nation last season in total defense, so not a good defensive team at all. They're going to give up a lot of yards. I just don't see them being much better this season either. So taking the Broncos money line here, minus 200, and I also like Broncos to cover the minus 5.5 spread. I think Broncos win by, or Boise State wins by at least a touchdown tonight for minus 106 odds. If you guys do want to lock it in there, that's going to be my pick on this game. Looking at my player prop for the game, the one player prop that I do like for this game is going to be for a man, Maddox Madsen. I got Maddox Madsen, and I've got him over 225.5 passing yards. So I got this prop pulled up right now on Outlier. If you guys do want to try out Outlier for free, there is a 7-day free trial link down in the description. But you can see Maddox Madsen from last season. 36% of games he cashed this. He averaged 215.5 passing yards per game. Now, you can't see this on the screen, but it does show the key USF passing yards defense. They had the 128th ranked passing yards defense, giving up 280 passing yards per game. So this is not a strong defense at all from USF. I'm looking at strength of schedule on these teams. Boise State had the number 70th ranked strength of schedule, where USF had the 117th. So Boise State obviously played against tougher teams. You can see passing plays versus rushing plays here. They did pass the ball 44% of the time. They ran the ball 56% of the time. That was behind running back Ashton Jeanty with 374 rush attempts. This is not going to be the same team. If you look at targets, I was trying to look at passing targets from Maddox Madsen. But anyways, I like Madsen to cover this line. I think they pass the ball out a little bit more. I think they need Madsen to get out here. They need him to have a good game, get comfortable, be confident to start this season. And obviously USF's not going to be their toughest game this season. And I do think that Madsen comes out here and has a good game. 225.5. I like the over on this prop if you guys do want to lock it in. So that is going to be my take on the Boise State USF game. Jumping into the second play of the day, the second game of the day, we have Ohio versus the Rutgers. So looking at this game, man, this is another game to where let's see if I can get this pulled up here. So we have Ohio Bobcats versus the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Obviously, you can see Ohio is plus 15.5 underdogs, plus 101 for that line. Rutgers minus 15.5 favorites, minus 105 for that line. Rutgers are minus 650 at home. Public betting on this line. You can see the money line right here. 96% of the money and 96% of the bets are on the Scarlet Knights tonight to win this game. And obviously, I do think the Rutgers win. Do they cover that 15.5 spread? I don't know about 15.5. My take on this game. So we can actually click this. You can see head-to-head data. Obviously, there's not going to be any head-to-head data. You can't see on the far right side what I can see. They had one common opponent last season. Ohio won 30-10, and Rutgers won 49-17. So both teams dominated. Strength of schedule. Ohio has 105th ranked strength of schedule, and then the Rutgers have 101st ranked strength of schedule. So Rutgers are a little bit tougher opponent. I mean, that's pretty much the exact same. If you look at team records from last season, Ohio was 11-3, 6-0 at home, and then 5-3 on the road. If you look at Rutgers, they were 7-6 last season, 4-3 at home, 3-3 on the road. So this is a game I could see Ohio coming out here and cover the 15.5 spread. Do I trust them enough to put my money on the line for that one? No, I do not. The prop, or I'm not going to say the prop. This is going to be the pick that I like the most for this game is going to be the Rutgers to win first half minus 6.5. So I think Rutgers come out here. I think they at least have a touchdown lead going into the second half. So minus 6.5 is going to be a minus 165 odds play. That's my favorite play for this one. I don't like any props for this one. This isn't a game that I want to target heavily personally. But looking at that game, the only thing I really like is Rutgers first half spread. I don't want to take a total game on this or anything like that. It's just not a game that I love. So that's all I'm going to have for that one. Jumping into our next matchup, we have the East Carolina Pirates, ECU kind of close to where I'm at, actually. ECU. So seeing ECU on here is pretty cool. But ECU versus NC State. So NC State minus 500 favorites at home tonight, plus 14.5 underdogs. ECU is, and NC State obviously minus 14 for minus 104. The total in this game sitting at 60.5. This is going to be one of those games that could be a shootout. So up on the screen, you should be able to see this game right here. We have the East Carolina Pirates. And then can you guys see this? Yes, so you can. East Carolina Pirates taking on NC State. The public betting on this one. So you have 89% of the bets are for NC State to get the dub tonight. And then you got 49% of the money. So some people believing that ECU comes out here and gets a dub tonight versus NC State at home. So that's tough, man. In terms of looking at this game, let's look at head-to-head data first. So head-to-head, last game of the season, they played each other. Who took the dub? The ECU Pirates beat the Wolfpack. NC State was at home. They won 26-21. Do I think that is a good indicator of what's going to happen tonight? No, I do not. Pirates won 60% of games last season. Wolfpack won 40%. You can't see on the far right over here. But NC State does have the 56th ranked strength of schedule. And then ECU has 111th ranked strength of schedule. So NC State strength of schedule actually far superior to ECU. ECU had some wins. The only big win that I really see from ECU is versus NC State. That's the only notable win they have. NC State beat North Carolina. They beat Stanford. They beat Cali. They did lose to Syracuse, lost to Wake Forest. They lost to Clemson. So they had some tough. Georgia Tech, they lost 29-30, lost by a point on that game. And then they obviously lost to ECU. So NC State had a tough game, or a tough season last year compared to ECU's. I think NC State's a far superior team on this one. In terms of my pick for this game for money line, I like ECU first half spread plus 14.5. That's minus 125 minus 125 odds on this one for NC State to win by more than 2 touchdowns in the first half. It's doable, but I do think ECU covers this spread. It's going to be tough. Looking at the Wolfpack returning a lot of their starters. They do have Hollywood Smothers coming back. Hollywood Smothers was a massive back for ECU last season. So let me pull up Hollywood Smothers here. NC State rushing yards. So he averaged right at 56 or 52 rushing yards per game last season. But they lost Jordan Waters. Smothers looked really strong at the end of the season last year. Versus ECU, he rushed for 139 yards. ECU's rushing defense is horrendous. They give up 170 rushing yards per game. I do think Hollywood Smothers comes out here and has a good game tonight. I'm looking at ECU's core. They did lose a lot, man. So obviously, they do have their quarterback returning. They have Kattenhauser. He took over midseason around Temple, closed out strong. He ended 2024 with 2,000 passing yards and 18 touchdowns. The running back last season for ECU was Rajai Harris. He led the team with over 1,100 rushing yards and 11 touchdowns. They lost Harris. They do have London Montgomery coming back. They have Marlon Gunn, who had a veteran presence last year. So London Montgomery, Marlon Gunn coming back. They do have an okay offense compared to where they were last season. They just don't have their key running back. But Kattenhauser leading at quarterback. I do think they have enough of their returning offense to keep the game slightly competitive. Do I think they come and beat NC State? No, I don't. I just think they covered 14.5 first half spread. But a 14.5 first half spread is absolutely crazy for me anyway. Crazy to me anyways. But that's what I like. If you look at a player prop for this one, my player prop of the day that I like is going to be for our man Hollywood Smothers. So let me get this pulled up real quick. We have Hollywood Smothers right here, over 88.5 rushing yards. You can lock this in on Underdog if you want. I think you can get it on Prizepicks as well. Underdog is probably where I'll end up playing this line. But you can see Smothers, he rushed for 52 yards average per game last season. And you can't see over here rushing defense for ECU, but one of the worst rushing defenses in the nation, 95th ranked defense. So you can see a couple big games that Darius Taylor, or Hollywood Smothers, had last season. He had 100 rushing yards for Stanford, and then he had 139 versus ECU, which was his final game. If you come down here, you can look at NC State. They pass the ball 52% of the time. They run the ball 48% of the time, so you're looking at pretty much a 50-50 split. If you look at the carries, Jordan Waters had 95 rush attempts, which is 22%. 23% pretty much. CJ Bailey, their quarterback, rushed for 99 rush attempts. So they do have a scrambling quarterback, what makes this a little bit tough. Then you have Hollywood Smothers, who was the next in line back who ran the ball for 21.4% of the rush share. So taking away Jordan Waters, Smothers should get more of the carries. They do like to split this up a little bit. You got Kendrick Raphael on here as well, who rushed for 78 attempts last season. But looking at this, should be Hollywood Smothers, should be C.J. Bailey getting the majority of this. If you want to take C.J. Bailey, you can. For passing yards, it's 252. I don't think they're going to have to pass the ball that much versus ECU this game. I really don't. I think this is going to be one of these games where they get a touchdown, maybe 2-touchdown league, and just milk the clock with the running the ball. They might try to get their offense firing all cylinders. ECU has one of the worst passing offenses in the nation anyway. They give up 235 passing yards per game as well. So this is going to be a game where there's going to be a lot of offense, 60-something plus total. Like this game to target in terms of player props as well if you guys do want to take it. But Hollywood Smothers would be my pick for this game. So jumping into the next game that we're going to be looking at, we do have Buffalo versus Minnesota. This is not a game that I like. We got the Buffalo Bulls taking on Minnesota. We got this pulling up right now. Buffalo plus 800 underdogs. Minnesota is minus 900 favorites. Buffalo plus 17.5 spread. Minnesota minus 17.5 or minus 103. The total in this game is 43.5. Looking at this game, there's not really much that I like on this one. The public betting, you got 96% of the bets going for Minnesota, 63% of the money. Then you got the spread. You got 80% of the money for Buffalo, and then 33% of the bets from Buffalo. Looking at this game in terms of what I like for sports books, I do like Minnesota minus 7 first half spread. Now, it's going to be 7 on the dot. You can't get it at 6.5, at least not on the books that I play. If you can get it at 6.5, I love it. You're getting push potential on this. So I do think they're going to be leading in the half by a touchdown. Now, whether or not, I mean, they could obviously miss a field goal, or not miss a field goal, miss the extra point. They could obviously go for 2 and fail and win by 6 and then chalk me that way. But majority of the time, they're just going to kick the PAT. If they score a touchdown, it's going to be a 7-point game if they're ahead by a touchdown, and that's how it's going to go. Obviously, they can have some field goal attempts. They could have some big breakaways and win this game or be leading the game by more than a touchdown, maybe a touchdown and a field goal. But I am going to take the minus 7 spread for Minnesota on this one. Now, Minnesota does have a returning key back. They have Darius Taylor. This is why you guys heard me get a little bit confused a minute ago talking about Hollywood Smothers. I got confused with Darius Taylor for a minute because Darius Taylor is a dang good running back for Minnesota who is returning. Key to the offense, he rushed for 986 yards last season, had 10 touchdowns. Once again, probably going to have another good season. He averaged 80 rushing yards per game on the season last season, and his line is set right at 100 if you wanted to take him over as a player prop. Minnesota passed the ball 54% of the time, run the ball 46% of the time. Darius Taylor had 205 rush attempts last season, which was 51.4% of their rushing share. So this is a game that I think Darius Taylor takes over. Buffalo's rushing defense was ranked 61st in the nation last season, giving up almost 150 rushing yards per game, which isn't amazing. But Buffalo's strength of schedule is ranked 101. Minnesota's was ranked 66. And they had some tough games last season. So I want to go over to the game props. I actually want to pull this up for you guys, and we can take a look at the head-to-head at who these teams actually played last season. So I got this pulled up right now. You can see the Bulls versus the Golden Gophers. Minnesota, Virginia Tech, they had a win versus Virginia Tech, 24-10. Wisconsin, they beat 24-7. Penn State, top 4 team going into the playoffs. 26-25, they lost by 1 point. Rutgers, they lost 19-26, lost by a touchdown there. They beat Illinois, they beat Maryland, they beat UCLA, they beat USC, lost to Michigan by a field goal, lost to Iowa by a decent margin, beat Nevada, lost to North Carolina. Some big dubs in there, man. They really did. They did not look that bad last season. When you look at the Bulls, who did the Bulls play? UConn, they lost 3-47. UMass, they won 34-3. Mizzou, they lost 0-38. Not a team to where I think the Bulls can come out here and beat Minnesota, in my opinion. So, do like Minnesota minus 7 first half spread if you want to take it. It's minus 170 odds on that one. My prop for today is going to be for Darius Taylor. This is going to be my favorite player prop on the slate. So let's pull this up. I have receiving yards pulled up. That's not what I'm taking. I'm going to take him to get a touchdown. So we want a rushing touchdown from Darius Taylor. He cashed this in 6 of his last 10 games. He cashed this in 8 of 12 games on the season last season, averaging 1 touchdown per game. I do think Darius Taylor has a big breakaway run. I do think maybe Minnesota gets into the red zone and want to run the touchdown in and give Darius Taylor a touchdown. He had 10 TDs last season versus tough opponents versus a weak opponent. I do think he has another good game. So you can see some of these games last season where Darius Taylor played. He had 3 touchdowns versus Nevada. He had 2 versus Michigan, 2 versus UCLA. Lots of these. None versus Penn State, obviously. 1 versus Virginia Tech. I just think that he comes out here and has a great game versus Buffalo. And you can see run the ball 54% of the or pass the ball 54%, run the ball 46%, and you can see Darius Taylor is going to be the #1 back today. So I like this play a lot for Darius Taylor, and I'm going to lock him in with our Minnesota spread for the first half. So jumping into the next game of the day. Next game that we have is going to be Nevada, or bear with me. I got the right teams on the screen right now, but we got Nebraska versus Cincinnati. So we had the Bearcats taking on the where we at here? So versus the Cornhuskers. Sorry, I'm trying to find my game on here. But anyways, I'm pulling up this game. Let's get it to show up on the screen. You guys can see Nebraska, Cincinnati. Nebraska is -235 favorites on this game, going to Cincinnati to play the Bearcats. Looking at the spread is -6.5 for Nebraska, -105 odds. The total in this game is 51.5. So looking at the public betting on this, 87% of the bets and 63% of the money are on Nebraska. The spread, 84% and 96% of the money are on Nebraska to cover the spread. And I'm not even going to lie. I'm a part of this number right here. I like Nebraska to cover the spread, -6.5 versus Cincinnati. So let's go ahead and pull up this Nebraska versus Cincinnati head-to-head thing. Looking at 2024 season, Nebraska won 54% of their games. Bearcats won 42% of their games. You can look at some of the teams they played against. I'm scrolling down on the right-hand side, which you guys cannot see up on the screen right now. But we're going to look at strength of schedule. So strength of schedule is a big indicator in college football. Just remember that. It really is. Some of these teams have very, very weak matchups, and other teams have hard ones. For example, Cincinnati has the 16th ranked strength of schedule, which is crazy to me. Then Nebraska's is ranked 69. So both teams decently tough schedule compared to some of the other teams we've looked at already. But neither of them are. I'm gonna be honest. Cincinnati had a pretty tough matchup. You can see right here we have Cincinnati's schedule pulled up: Pittsburgh, Miami of Ohio, Houston, Texas Tech, UCF, Colorado, West Virginia, ISU, Kansas State, TCU. I don't know, man. That schedule doesn't seem like the 16th ranked schedule to me, but I could be wrong on this one. Obviously, lost Kansas State 41-15. Some of West Virginia beat them 31-24. TCU beat them 20-17. They didn't really have any huge. They beat UCF 19-13. They beat ASU. They don't have any big wins from last season. Then you come over here and look at Nebraska. Boston College they beat 20-15. Lost to Iowa 13-10. This was a low-scoring game where they only lost by a field goal. Wisconsin, they beat 44-25. We already looked at Wisconsin today. Nebraska should be a decent team. They lost to OSU, obviously, set 21-17, which they kept that game close. The fact that they came that close to Ohio State is crazy to me. Lost to UCLA. They did beat the Rutgers. They beat Purdue. Barely lost to Illinois by a touchdown. Beat Colorado 28-10, which is, we saw Colorado's team last year with Shadur and Travis Hunter. That's a big win. But anyways, guys, for this game, I've already told you, I like Nebraska to cover this -6.5 spread, mainly because of the victories they had from last season. Do they have every single player from last season coming back up? No, they do not. Do they have a decent amount come back up? They do have a decent amount of their team. So they do have their starting quarterback coming back. They have Dylan Raiola returns. He's the centerpiece of pretty much their offense. A great quarterback in my opinion, and it's another key play today for player props. So with Dylan Raiola returning, I don't think that that Cincinnati has a chance to come out here and win. That's just my personal opinion. If you guys want to take the underdog on this one, you're more than welcome. They are playing at home, so obviously they do have that advantage for them. But I'm just going to stick to my guns on this one. Nebraska -6.5, and then I'll go ahead and pull up my player prop for today. So player prop for today, I kind of told you guys who it was. It's going to be for our man Dylan Raiola. So let me get this guy pulled up real quick. We're going to take his passing yards, and we bought him down to 209.5. So I'm not sure what the payout is on this one. Last night we could get a double up on Prizepicks with this play. We ended up pairing him with Madsen Maddox, which if you're in the Discord, you did get that play. If you guys are not in the Discord, free Discord link is down in the description. It's absolutely free to join. You can get all of our plays if you pay through WAP. Totally up to you guys. $10 a week or $25 a month, and we'd love to have you guys in the community. But anyways, you can see Dylan Raiola, 215 passing yards on average in his last 10. He averaged 217 over the season last season, catching this line in 7 of 13 games. Going against the team, which you guys can't see right here, ranked 73rd in the nation in offense, in defense, giving up 223 passing yards per game. You can see this offense is a slightly heavier pass offense than rush offense. They pass the ball 52% of the time, 48% of the ball, 48% run rate. This is one of those that's pretty much 50-50. Dylan Raiola has a lot of his returning core, and I just think he gets at least 210 passing yards versus Cincinnati, especially if Cincinnati does somehow take the lead. Nebraska is not going to want to lose this game. This is not a game that they should lose, in my opinion, and they will air the ball out. So, like Raiola on this one at 210 passing yards. So that's what I've got for that game. Jumping into the last college football game that I'm going to cover today, and it's going to be Miami of Ohio versus Wisconsin. This one has a game total of 41.5. Let me get this pulled up real quick. So looking at this game, you can see Miami of Ohio are plus 700 underdogs. Wisconsin minus 850 favorites, minus 17.5 spread. And then looking at the public betting on this one, 93% and 98% of the bets are going to be on Wisconsin at home. Looking at the spread, 55% of this money is on the spread for Wisconsin. 80% of the bets pretty much on Wisconsin to cover this spread. Game total on this one, 41.5. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, this is probably my favorite pick for this game is going to be the game total over 41.5. And we can come over here and we can take a look at this. We can look at the 2024 stats for these teams. And I should have just clicked the head-to-head, but I should do that. Scroll back down. You guys got to bear with me. Where we at? Miami, Wisconsin. Game total. I'm just going to go back to this one because I think this is by team. Yeah, so we can click 2024 season here. And we can look at Miami of Ohio in the 2024 season. And we can just click Wisconsin here. I'm so unused to using Outlier for game totals that I didn't realize I could just click the team right here. Excuse me on that one. But you can't see some of these games. So looking at the Miami of Ohio game or team, they covered this point line in 57% of games. And this is against obviously some terrible teams. This was Wisconsin covered at 58% of games. So looking at common opponents they had last season, it was a 23-3 Wisconsin win, and then a Miami of Ohio lost 6-13. This is going to be a lower scoring game compared to what we're used to, but Wisconsin's strength of schedule, ranked 22 in the nation. Miami of Ohio is ranked 96. Wisconsin did have a way tougher schedule than Miami of Ohio last season. Wisconsin ended up 5-7 on the season versus Miami of Ohio, who was 9-5, 5-2 at home, 4-3 on the road. Wisconsin at home 3-4, then 2-3 away. Do think, like I said, Wisconsin comes out here and gets a dub tonight. I don't think Miami of Ohio takes this win. Let me go back again and try to get this to the other side of this. Let's see. So we're just going to click the money line here. We can go 2024. Then we can see the actual teams that they played against. All right. I don't know why I clicked the other one. But anyways, we can see right here. Wisconsin played Minnesota, lost. Played Nebraska, lost. Played Oregon, lost. Played Iowa, lost. Played Penn State, lost. Northwestern is the key team that both teams played against, which it's Northwestern. Doesn't really matter. Beat Purdue. They beat Rutgers. Lost to USC. Lost to Alabama. Dude, they had a tough schedule. Let's be honest. This is way harder than that 16th ranked schedule for Cincinnati, in my opinion. But anyways, looking at Miami of Ohio, looking at the Red Hawks, do they have any tough teams? I see none. Cincinnati was their toughest opponent, or one of their toughest opponents, and they lost. I think they can score on Wisconsin. Do I think it's going to be a high-scoring game? No. I do think this covers the 41.5. You got plus 105 odds to cover this 41.5. Let's see if it's changed at all. We're going to find a Wisconsin right here. So, yeah, still plus 105 if you take this line on Hard Rock to go over 41.5. I think Miami of Ohio can score a couple touchdowns, and I think Wisconsin can score 28 points. That's just the way I'm looking at it. Two weak defenses compared to what they are. I don't think Miami of Ohio has a dominant offense by any means to where they can score, but I do think they can give us enough to come out here and win tonight. So let me see if I can get this game pulled up and take a look at their starters. So looking at Wisconsin, they do have Billy Edwards Jr. as their starting quarterback, previously transferred from Maryland. Brings a lot of experience to the team. They have Dylan Jones, a redshirt freshman at running back, with backups Cade Giacomelli and Darian Dupree. They do have kind of a three-back offense. Kind of going to split it up. I don't like any player props for this game personally. I'm not going to give a player prop for this one. But I do think that Billy Edwards has a good game tonight. If you look at Miami of Ohio, they lost all 11 offensive starters from last season. This is not a team that's going to have a good season, I don't think. Definitely going to be rebuilding. This first game's probably going to be a struggle. I do think they can score a little bit. I think they're going to have to score a little bit, obviously, to get this offense flowing. But I do think that this is going to be a good side for Wisconsin to come out here and dominate. And 41.5 point total, I do think gets covered on this one. So that's what I got for college football today, guys. Those are the only 6 games I'm going to cover. I know there's a couple of good games or decent games that I could have covered on here, but I was kind of going for ones that had player props, and a lot of these games, as I was researching, weren't on the board on Prizepicks or anything like that. So that's kind of what I'm going based off of for these college games. I do have one MLB line that I like for the game, and that's going to be the Red Sox taking on the Orioles once again. So I've taken Boston 2 days in a row. They have cashed me out both games. I'm pretty sure they won game 1. I could be wrong on that one. One team chalked me on game 1. Pretty sure the Red Sox won both games. They won last night. Today, the matchup we have is Garrett Crochet versus Cade Povich on the mound. Red Sox far better offense in my opinion. You got Garrett Crochet, 2.38 ERA, who was 14-5 on the season, taking on Cade Povich, who was 2-7 with a 5.13 ERA. If you look at this Baltimore offense versus Garrett Crochet, there's a decent amount of data, or I mean not much, but a decent amount of data. Some of these batters have hit 2 or 3 times. Mountcastle has 6 at-bats. None of them hit off Crochet. Crochet, obviously, one of the best pitchers in the league. Big Garrett Crochet fan myself. Looking at Cade Povich, looking at this Boston offense versus Povich. Don't hit super well off of him. You got a couple of hitters that do decent versus it, but it's the Red Sox offense. The Red Sox offense can get hot, and I think they get a lot hotter versus Povich than Baltimore gets versus Crochet. So that's what I like. I like the Red Sox money line on this one. Boston minus 172. That's all I'm going to run. No player props. So that's going to do it for today's video, guys. If you like this new style showing the teams and the spreads, going over money lines, stuff like that, and then making the player props pop up, just let me know. Free slips are up on the screen right now. I'm not sure how I'm going to incorporate these free slips in usual videos, but I'm going to still try to get some free slips. But if you guys do want to join our Discord, link is down in the description. Link to our WAP is down. We'd love to have you guys in our community. It's a great community, best sports betting community out there. I promise you're not going to find one better, especially for the price, and we'd love to have you guys in here. But once again, make sure you guys leave a like and a comment for a chance at free VIP, and I will see you guys in the next video.